evening, everyone. So today we are going to start Good evening, everyone. Today we are going to start our Pāramī lectures, and today I'm going to talk about two stories of Dana Pāramī that would encourage us to practice, fulfill our Pāramīs in the long term, and the stories are related to the Bodhisattva's life.
Selamat malam Bapak Ibu. Kali ini kita akan melanjutkan kembali kelas tentang Pāramī kita. Pada kesempatan ini Bante akan menyampaikan dua kisah terkait dengan dana Pāramī yang mudah-mudahan bisa membantu kita mendapatkan ide atau untuk membantu kita lebih baik lagi dalam memenuhi dana Pāramī.
The two stories are about certain sacrifices made by the Bodhisattva in order to fulfill his perfections to become the supremely enlightened Buddha. And these two stories are related to, are to show the significance of the Deya Dhamma, what is being offered. Because the one story shows us of the Bodhisattva sacrificing one of the most difficult objects to be offered. Those were the eyes. And then in another story, he offers something which is very insignificant in terms of the value, but still the act became so powerful because of his sacrifice. So with these two stories, we'll be able to understand how important it is, how important the Deya Dhamma. Deya Dhamma is the thing that is being offered, how significant it is in our Pāramīs, and also in occasions that we are not able to, we are not having much wealth, but still how could we make our Dana Pāramī stronger by having a strong inclination towards the Dana. We call Dana Jasya. So we'll go into the two stories and try to analyze and take the messages to our lives.
Pada dua kisah ini kita akan belajar tentang dana atau pemberian yang dilakukan oleh Bodhisattva, di mana kita akan melihat tentang daya damanya di sini, yaitu benda yang diberikan atau didanakan di sini. Di sini ada dua objek yang diberikan. Pertama adalah objek yang sangat sulit untuk bisa bagi kebanyakan orang untuk rela mendanakan, yaitu adalah mata. Dan kemudian objek satu lagi adalah objek yang tidak terlalu penting atau tampaknya tidak penting atau tidak terlalu berharga, tetapi nanti kita lihat dalam kisahnya ternyata memiliki efek yang sangat kuat, sangat powerful dalam pemenuhan dana Pāramī dari seorang bodhisatta. Nanti dari pembelajaran dua kisah ini mudah-mudahan kita dapat melihat betapa pentingnya pemahaman tentang Deya Dhamma ini, tentang benda yang akan didanakan ini, sehingga bagi kita yang mungkin dalam kehidupan saat ini memiliki keterbatasan atas harta benda, keterbatasan ekonomi gitu ya, tetap dapat secara cerdas terus berupaya dalam memupuk Pāramī kita dengan melakukan kecondongan pada bagaimana kita mencondongkan batin kita pada pemenuhan Pāramī.
So the first story is called Sivi Rajacharya, or Sivicharya we can call, the story of the king Sivi, S-I-V-I, Sivi. Bodhisattva was once born in a country called Sivi, which was ruled by a king named Sivi, and Bodhisattva was his son.
Kisah yang pertama ini adalah tentang Sivicharya, berkisah tentang ketika dalam suatu kerajaan yang mulia Bodhisatta itu terlahir sebagai putra daripada Raja Siwi.
So at the young age, he was sent to Takkasila or Takshila in Sanskrit, a certain city, and also the universities, some studying areas, and he was sent there, and he spent some years at the age of 16, and he returned back to his country, and he demonstrated his skills to his father. So being pleased with the son's capacity to rule the country, he bestowed the vice kingship to him, Yuvaraja. So afterwards, the king Bodhisattva was the deputy king and joined the administration of the kingdom.
Jadi pada usia yang muda, Bodhisatta pada saat itu dikirim ke kota Takasila atau Taksila untuk belajar di sana beberapa tahun. Dia dikirim pada usia 16 tahun dan kemudian setelah belajar banyak di sana kembali ke kerajaannya, dan setelah kembali mempertunjukkan kemampuan apa yang telah dipelajari selama bertahun-tahun di Takasila. Melihat kemampuan dari putranya ini, maka sang raja tidak ragu kemudian menganugerahkan gelar wakil raja kepada Bodhisatta ini, dan kemudian berdua mereka memerintah kerajaan ini.
And then after the father died, he ascended to the throne and started to rule the country, and he was a righteous king who controlled or ruled the country with all the righteous means. And but at the same time, he was a very generous king, and he used to do a lot of charity to the kingdom, and he didn't neglect the beggars and poor people. So he established 6 dhanasala, 6 halls for charity, donating food and so forth, and in 6 different locations, at the 4 city gates in 4 directions, and 1 at the center of the city, and 1 in front of his, 1 near his gate, palace. So every day 100,000 coins were spent to make dana on these donation halls, and every 3 days per a fortnight, pakha we call, within fortnight, within 2 weeks, on the 8th, 14th and 15th, he used to visit these dining halls and observe the dana by himself. So likewise, he was continuously making donations to the poor people for a long period.
Setelah ayahnya meninggal, maka kemudian Bodhisatta dinobatkan sebagai raja di kerajaan tersebut, dan beliau kemudian memerintah sebagai raja yang amat welas asih, bahkan sangat dermawan sekali, melakukan banyak dana. Beliau tidak pernah sangat memperhatikan para miskin, para peminta-minta, para kaum tunawisma. Beliau mendirikan 6 dana hall, ya, 6 dana hall, masing-masing di masing-masing penjuru negerinya, utara, selatan, timur, barat, selatan. Jadi ada 4, dan kemudian 1 di tengah, dan kemudian 1 di gerbang kerajaannya. Jadi ada 6 dana hall yang didirikan. Dikatakan bahwa setiap harinya sekitar 100.000 koin itu dihabiskan untuk berdana. Tidak berhenti sampai sana, setiap 3 hari, pada hari yang keempat, maka sang raja ini akan turun sendiri menyaksikan pemberian dana ini di dana hall tersebut.
So then once while giving dana for such a long period continuously, one day he had a very strange thought. He thought, yes, I have given almost everything that can be given, external thing that can be given as a human, but I'm yet to make a internal organ donation. I haven't donated a part of my body, because for a bodhisattva, while fulfilling his paramis, if something can be given, he must give it. There's nothing that he should not be offering. So anything that is possible to be given, any body part, even the half of his body or the entire life, if you want to sacrifice it to someone, to dedicate it to someone, he must be doing, he should do that at any point of the samsara. So he thought, I have given each and everything that could be given, external things, but the story doesn't mention him giving any wives or children. There's no such a story recorded about in Nisiviraja, but he was thinking about the external inanimate things, non-living things, or maybe animals that he has given to anyone who has asked for it. And he has never dissatisfied a person who came to him asking or begging for something. And then he thought, I'm yet to make a donation of an internal organ or body part. So then sitting on the lion's throne before going to the Dhanasala on a full moon day, he thought, if someone needs for any part of my body, may he comes to me, may he approaches me, may he come to me and approach me, and I will donate it without any hesitation. If someone wants a part of my body like hands or limbs, I will donate it. If someone wants blood, I will let him to suck my blood. If someone wants flesh, I will remove the flesh from my body and offer him. If someone needs my eyes, yes, I will donate the eyes. Even the head, I will donate. If someone asks for half of my body, for whatever reason, maybe to consume or something, yes, I will donate half of my body. And if someone needs a slave for him to work for, then I will abandon my kingship and become a slave. So he made such a strong determination sitting in his lion's throne. And this was felt by the king of gods, the Sakha. Then he wanted to inquire. He said to his retinue, the god Deva Parisa, today King Sivi is making such a great determination. He is making a resolution. I want to check whether he is possible of making this true. Whether he is possible to keep to his determination, to keep up to his different determinations. Then he approached the king in the guise of an old Brahmin, old blind Brahmin. He just wanted to test King Sivi's determination. So it's a very, very interesting thing happened on a certain day.
Jadi setelah bertahun-tahun terus-menerus memberikan dana secara teratur, pada suatu hari raja ini kemudian, sang bodhisatta ini kemudian punya satu pemikiran yang terbersit gitu ya. Saya telah memberikan semua benda-benda, harta benda eksternal yang bisa saya berikan kepada orang banyak, katanya. Walaupun dalam cerita tidak dikatakan bahwa bodhisatta memberikan istri atau anak, jadi hanya memberikan benda-benda harta kepemilikan, benda-benda tidak bernyawa ya dalam hal ini tadi Bante bilang. Tetapi sayangnya katanya bodhisatta, saya belum pernah mendanakan barang-barang yang internal yang melekat pada diri tubuh saya seperti itu. Maka kemudian pada satu hari purnama, bodhisatta ini beraditana ya, bertekad ya, bersumpah. Jika pada hari ini ada seorang yang datang kepada saya dan membutuhkan anggota tubuh, maka saya tidak akan membiarkan dia pulang dengan kecewa. Saya akan memberikan anggota tubuh yang dia butuhkan. Jika memang dia membutuhkan darah, saya akan sedot darah saya. Dia butuh daging saya akan potong daging saya. Butuh anggota tubuh, tangan atau kaki, saya akan kasihkan. Mau separuh badan dikasih, mau kepala saya kasih, katanya. Bahkan jika dia membutuhkan seorang budak, saya akan turun tahta, meninggalkan kerajaan saya dan mengabdi sebagai budak bagi orang tersebut. Itu adalah aditana atau tekad sumpah ya, nazar daripada raja pada saat itu bodhisatta. Lalu karena tekadnya yang kuat ini diketahui oleh Saka, Raja para Dewa. Saka mengetahui bahwa pada hari ini di kerajaan Siwi ini ada seorang raja yang membuat sumpah yang begitu kuat katanya. Tapi apakah dia benar-benar serius akan memenuhi sumpah itu katanya. Maka kemudian Sakar karena penasaran turun ke dunia dan kemudian menyamar sebagai seorang Brahmana yang buta.
So the Bodhisattva was traveling on elephant back to the Dhanasala. The Sakka, in the guise of a old Brahmin, blind Brahmin, stood in a certain high place while the Bodhisattva was traveling. Then he stretched his arms and greeted the Bodhisattva, the king. Then Bodhisattva sent, because he knew people approach him, ask him for things, what they are in need of. So Bodhisattva drove the elephant towards the Brahmin. At that time, he kept his arms on his head and paid respect to the Bodhisattva king and said, "Oh, Venerable King, you are a righteous person who is controlling or ruling the country very well, and your generosity is widespread among the humans and also within the devas. Everyone knows you are such a generous king. So I came to you approaching and I asked for you because I am blind, therefore ask you." And the Bodhisattva was listening very attentively. Yes, he said, "What do you want? Please ask anything you want. How can I help you?" Then the Brahmin said, "Yes, Venerable Sir, my both eyes are blind. My both eyes are blind. So I'm asking for one of them. You have two eyes, I'm asking for one. So giving me one eye, may you sustain with another." So this was a very, very bold request, and I don't think anyone would dare to ask this from a king, because asking for an eye from a king could result in any outcome. This is something that even you request this from a normal ordinary person, that he would get angry and he would get upset why you are asking for such a thing, and it could be offending as well. You cannot ask for a body part. It's not something very nice, but from Bodhisattva you can ask for anything. That's the nature of the person. So he said, "You have two eyes and I don't have any eyes, so please give me one so you can sustain with one." So this was the request he was making. Bodhisattva was astonished and he was surprised and he was really happy, and also at the same time he had a mixed feeling. So this was the request, and if you imagine of that era when he was surrounded by the ministers and people were looking at him, they were following him, when some Brahmin, just an old Brahmin, come and request to give one of his eyes, that was something very special. So that's the request he made to the Bodhisattva.
Baik, pada kesempatan itu Bodhisatta sedang berjalan ke Dana Hall, beliau mengendarai kereta yang ditarik oleh gajah. Maka Saka yang menyamar sebagai Brahmana yang buta tadi kemudian memberi salam, memberi hormat kepada Bodhisatta yang sedang di atas kereta gajah. Melihat ini kemudian Bodhisatta menghentikan keretanya, memberi hormat dan terjadi perbincangan gitu ya. Eh, Brahmana buta tadi kemudian memberi hormat pada raja dan kemudian memuji bahwa raja adalah raja yang bijaksana, memerintah dengan baik, kedermawanannya diketahui, dikenal oleh semua manusia, bahkan dikenal oleh para dewa dan seterusnya gitu. Mendengar pujian ini, Bodhisatta kemudian bertanya, "Apa yang Anda butuhkan?" Dan kemudian Brahmana buta itu menjawab, kedua mata saya ini sekarang buta, yang mulia gitu. Anda punya dua mata yang sehat, yang baik. Bagaimana jika Anda berikan satu kepada saya dan Anda masih bisa melanjutkan hidup dengan satu mata yang tersisa seperti itu. Ini merupakan, kata Bante, ini adalah permintaan yang amat berani ya, bahkan di era seperti sekarang, di era normal gitu ya. Kalau kita meminta ini kepada raja atau kepada orang biasa, tentu bisa menimbulkan kemarahan, ketersinggungan seperti itu ya. Tetapi Bodhisatta mendengar permintaan yang langsung to the point seperti ini, langsung batinnya merasa bahagia sekali gitu ya, bahwa akhirnya ada yang meminta gitu.
So at that time, Bodhisatta had a mixed feeling. So in the beginning, he was sad. What was the reason? He thought, oh, this Brahmin is asking for one of my eyes, as if he has read my mind. I just made a determination in the palace and just came out to the city. So it seems like he has read my mind, because the day I made the resolution, he came asking for the eyes. Then, so he thought I was negligent till now, because I didn't make such a resolution. If I had I made a resolution before, maybe this person would have come and someone would have come and asked for such a donation, such an organ. So he felt quite sad. I was negligent till now that I didn't make such a resolution, because he thought it seems something miracle is going on, something strange is going on. Then maybe some divine intervention was there, some deity has instructed him, because that's why exactly on the day that I made such a resolution, someone is coming asking for eyes from me. Then he was overjoyed, because he thought, okay, today I'm going to fulfill my desire, today I'm going to complete my dana, because till now I have offered everything that I could, external things, the bahiravattu, and today I'm going to make an internal organ donation. So then he was overjoyed, and he felt happy, and he talked to the Brahmin and saying, oh, I will surely donate you the eyes. And then he asked the question, he had a doubt. Were you instructed by a deity about my determination? Because I just came out of the palace, having determined, made a resolution. If someone asks for a organ, I would surely donate it without any hesitation. So were you instructed by someone? Then the Brahmin said, yes, I was instructed by the Sakka, because he himself was the Sakka. So then he said, okay, so let's go back to the palace. I will offer you both the eyes, not only one. I'm going to offer you both the eyes, because both eyes are blind, and you see the entire world, the people with these new eyes, and you can go back. So he was very happy, and he turned the elephant, and the entire retinue turned with him, and he went back to the palace and took the Brahmin to the palace.
Nah, ketika mendengar permintaan dari Brahmana yang buta ini, dalam batin Bodhisatta, kemudian pertama-tama beliau merasa sedih, ada rasa sedih katanya. Wah, baru saja tadi pagi saya berlakukan tekad, sumpah ya, untuk mendanakan anggota tubuh saya jika ada yang meminta. Sekarang sudah ada Brahmana yang meminta. Bodhisatta merasa sedih karena merasa lalai ya. Kalau aja saya bertekadnya dari dulu-dulu, maka sudah dari lama saya bisa mendanakan organ tubuh saya. Tetapi karena saya baru bertekadnya sekarang, maka kesempatannya baru sekarang. Jadi beliau merasa sedih bahwa kenapa nggak dari dulu-dulu, gitu ya. Nah, setelah merasa kecewa, sedih seperti itu, kemudian Bodhisattva timbul perasaan gembira yang luar biasa, mengingat bahwa akhirnya setelah hari yang ditunggu-tunggu, yang sudah lama dinanti, tiba juga saya bisa mengkomplitkan dana saya dengan melakukan dana memberikan eh, anggota tubuh saya itu. Jadi kemudian setelah sedih, kecewa, lalu kemudian merasa senang, kemudian Bodhisattva menjawab pada Brahmana tadi bahwa mari kembali ke istana saya pasti akan mendanakan mata saya. Tetapi sebelumnya coba jawab dulu pertanyaan saya, katanya. Apakah Anda disuruh oleh dewata tertentu untuk datang ke sini? Lalu Brahmana Buta tadi menjawab, iya, saya diminta oleh Dewa Saka untuk datang meminta mata. Lalu sang Bodhisatta bilang, kalau begitu mari ke istana saya sama-sama nanti saya tidak hanya akan mendanakan satu mata, tetapi dua-dua mata saya ini boleh diambil, sehingga Anda bisa menikmati dunia dengan mata dari saya ini, seperti itu.
Then, having taken the Brahmin to the palace, the Bodhisattva sat on the throne and he called the royal physician and summoned the royal physician called Sivaka. And he said, "Son, I want to offer my eyes, so please help me to make this donation. So I need you to remove them, like you remove a certain fruit from the shell. I want you to remove my eyes and offer to this person." So the news of the king going to donate his two eyes spread across the country like a wildfire. So people approached him, citizens came to him, his loyal people came to him, ministers, generals, council members, and wives all approached him and said, "Please don't do this. You can offer anything you like. You may offer any amount of money to this person. You may offer cattle, elephants, whatever you want, but don't offer your eyes, because you will not be able to rule the country any further after this, because you are a righteous king. We need you. The country needs you. It's very difficult to find a person like you, and there's no such a person like you who could rule the country. And we are very happy as the subjects, or as your subjects. So please don't offer the eyes. Please offer anything you like except the eyes." Then they were begging him, and they couldn't convince him. They couldn't stop him. The Bodhisattva was so determined that I will surely offer the eyes, that as I have determined and promised the Brahmin. Then so I'll go to the next part after translation.
Setelah kembali ke istana, sang bodhisattva duduk di tahtanya dan kemudian memanggil dokter kerajaan bernama Siwaka. Ketika tabib kerajaan ini datang, kemudian bodhisattva bilang bahwa saya mau memberikan kedua mata saya kepada Brahmana buta itu. Tolong bantu saya untuk mencabut mata saya, seperti Anda mengupas buah dari kulitnya, seperti itu. Lalu berita bahwa bodhisatta keraja ini akan memberikan kedua belah matanya tentunya langsung menyebar, bikin heboh di seluruh kerajaan ya, jadi viral. Maka kemudian datanglah berbondong-bondong para menteri, istri-istri, lalu kemudian juga para jenderal kerajaan, ramai-ramai datang ke istana memohon pada bodhisatta untuk mengurungkan niatnya. Kami untuk memerintah, Anda membutuhkan kedua mata Anda. Kami membutuhkan Anda untuk terus memerintah kerajaan ini karena Anda sudah melakukan pekerjaan ini dengan begitu baik. Kami sebagai hamba-hamba sangat bahagia, rakyat juga sejahtera gitu ya. Jadi tolong jangan lakukan ini. Mereka memohon seperti itu. Kalau memang mau berdana, danakan yang lain. Apakah itu uang, apakah itu ternak, apakah itu gajah, apapun lah bisa diberikan. Tapi tolong jangan mata ini, kedua mata Anda. Jadi mereka memohon-mohon, tetapi bodhisatta dalam hal ini tetap teguh pada tekadnya untuk mendanakan kedua matanya.
So then they were surprised. A bodhisatta, a person as wise as the bodhisatta, why would he abandon the pleasures in this life, luxury? Because after offering the eyes, he's no one. He's not anyone. Like he loses all his capacity, capability. He cannot rule the country. He cannot advise anything. He cannot do any good work because he'll lose half of his life. Like that's not much useful. The life is somewhat useless after that. Yeah, people may become successful even losing their eyes, but so he's going to lose most of his capacity after losing the eyes, because these are one of the most precious items that we have in our lives. So they were surprised why someone would abandon the luxuries in this life with a wish or an expectation of luxuries in a future life, because they thought, because he is going to make because he is a person, generous person, and he believes in rebirth, he believes in karma. That's why he was doing donations throughout his life as a king. And they knew the Bodhisattva was accumulating good merits for the samsara. And then they asked, why would you abandon your present life, that such as the eyes, organs such as the eyes, in search of a divine or some kind of a pleasure? Isn't it that the wise person should be enjoying the happiness in the present moment rather than thinking about a happiness that one is not certain about, which is a future happiness? So it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense to them. So they asked this question. So wishing what? Are you wishing for long life? Are you wishing to get a good son? Or are you wishing to go to heavens or luxuries in the samsara? What do you want by making such a donation, which made you a useless person afterwards? Then the Bodhisattva said, no, I am not wishing for anything, any mundane stuff. I am not wishing for a son, I am not wishing for a kingdom, I am not wishing for a good rebirth in the heavens, I am not wishing for happiness in samsara. My main aim is to gain the omniscience. So I will be able to see the entire thing of the entire phenomena, the reality of the entire reality of the life, of the world. So I want to be a Sabbanyu, the all-knowing person. So that's why I'm making this donation. So he was strongly determined to follow his desire resolution without getting distracted from the thoughts of the other ones.
Nah, jadi terkejut, mereka semua terkejut, semua orang terkejut bahwa seorang yang bijaksana seperti Raja Bodhisatta ini mau menyia-nyiakan, ya istilahnya bagi kacamata mereka, menyia-nyiakan kemewahan dunia ini, ya. Karena tentunya jika beliau sudah memberikan kedua matanya, praktis hampir seluruh kapasitas beliau itu sudah akan menjadi hilang, ya, termasuk untuk memerintah mungkin sudah tidak bisa lagi, kan, seperti itu. Mengapa mereka semua bertanya-tanya, mengapa kemewahan dunia ini kok dilempar, disia-siakan, dibuang begitu saja, gitu. Nah, mereka berpikir bahwa Bodhisatta melakukan ini karena beliau percaya tentang kelahiran kembali, tentang karma dan sebagainya. Maka beliau merasa bahwa Raja Bodhisatta ini melakukan hal yang tidak masuk akal ini mungkin karena ingin melakukan investasi di masa depan, untuk kehidupan masa depan, katanya. Maka mereka bertanya-tanya kepada Baginda, ya, Anda ini melakukan sejauh ini untuk apa? Apakah ingin supaya hidup abadi, panjang umur, mengharapkan punya putra, banyak putra atau banyak putra? Apakah karena Anda ingin mendambakan kelahiran, kenikmatan kelahiran di alam-alam dewata, atau karena apa ini keputusan se-ekstrim ini, gitu. Maka Bodhisattva menjawab bahwa tidak, saya tidak melakukan ini untuk hal-hal duniawi, hal-hal sepele seperti panjangin umur, punya anak, atau kelahiran di alam-alam dewata. Tujuan saya adalah untuk mencapai sabanyu, yaitu kemahatauan. Saya ingin memahami seluruh realitas dari fenomena atau dari dhamma.
So at this juncture, I would like to give you some insights about the Bodhisattva's practice. Now this story, before there is some parts are left, we will continue this afterwards. So if you look into this incident, while the Bodhisattva was going to offer the eyes, others were trying to stop him from doing so. But he mentioned that I'm doing this in order to obtain the omniscience, the status of all knowing. Now think, if you visualize this incident, while the Bodhisattva was determined to offer the eyes. Others were countering his desire and suggesting that it's better that you don't offer this because it doesn't make sense that you are making such a sacrifice to obtain a future benefit. Then Bodhisattva said that I am determined to become an omniscient being. Now, this incident, when we are reading as Buddhist in an era where the Buddha's dispensation is there, we would feel, okay, sadhu, and that was a great achievement that he did, and that's why he became the Buddha, and we highly respect it, and we appreciate what he did because of his sacrifice, that he was able to understand the reality and taught us. But now imagine if you put him on that occasion, there was no Dhamma on that era, and the idea of Buddhahood was not very clear to anyone. Because there's no doctrine which explains whether becoming a Buddha is possible or not. The doctrine, the Dhamma, was not present at that time. And we don't know how many were convinced by the Bodhisattva's argument. He said, I want to gain the omniscience by donating this. Now think, if we were there without any knowledge of Buddhism, in Buddhism, is it possible that you donate your eyes and gain that capacity, that knowledge of all-knowing knowledge? Is it possible? And when are you going to get it? Is it possible that one can reach that status? So obviously these doubts would haunt us, and we would say, okay, sadhu, he did a good thing, but will it be possible for him to achieve such? Because we don't have any evidences. We don't have any reason to believe in such a thing, because it is an era where the Buddha's teachings were not prevailing. Bodhisattva had such an idea, and he was also not fully aware of the capacity of a Buddha, because he is a Putujana being in the samsara. He may have known that, he may have understood that, yes, you can develop your spiritual capacities life after life, and there should be a status of all-knowing, and one should be able to know the entire reality inside out in this world, and so he will be, and the world is suffering, obviously it is obvious to everyone, and one would be able to show the path to the beings how to be liberated from this cycle of rebirths. Because if someone knows everything, he should know the path way out from the suffering as well. That's why that is what is meant by knowing everything. So he had a view of his own, that by doing so, I will be developing my capacity, spiritual capacities, and accumulating great merits. So one day I will be able to reach that higher state. But think about the others. There's no reason for them to believe in such a thing. Maybe there could have been one or two who were very special and who would believe in such a thing. But most of the people would not have believed. Many would think that that's a stupid decision. That's why the ministers asked directly from the king, why would a wise person as wise as you would donate these eyes in search of a bliss in the following lives? They didn't have any idea of omniscience. And they were also not convinced by this act. If you are going in search of happiness in the following life, sacrificing your present life happiness, that doesn't make sense to them. That didn't make sense to them. So when the Bodhisattva said that I am not wishing for such trifle stuff, I am wishing to be the greatest being, that greatest status one could ever reach. So I am not sure how many were convinced over there. Because if they were really convinced, they would not prevent him, they would support him. So now this shows that how difficult it is, the practice of a bodhisattva. Because in a Buddha's era, while the Dhamma is prevailing, yes, everything is known, everything was taught, we can program our minds and walk on the path. But in an era where there is no teachings of a Buddha, and the entire world is not following it, and the Bodhisattva is just having a thought because of his past merits and past paramis, that he believes in a goal, he himself believes in a goal that he will be able to achieve that status one day. And he is solo, he's just alone. And when you are alone in a society, that the entire world is not having the same idea as you have, it's very easy for us to get caught into the tide of the social norm, social idea, and then doubt ourselves, doubt our own belief. That's natural. And everyone else is following differently. And I'm holding a view of my own. If the person is not very strong, surely he would start to doubt about himself. And especially, would anyone take the efforts to go this extra mile in making such donations, such as donating body parts? Okay, he may offer something, some external thing. We can acknowledge that. We can appreciate that. We can imagine such a thing. We can assume such a thing. But donating a body part, because after that the life is useless. So how strongly this idea of Buddhahood is rooted in his mind, and how strongly determined he is, it's beyond our imagination. For me, it's beyond my imagination. How could he do such a thing when there was no teachings in the world? Because we are reading this story under the influence of our faith. We believe in Buddhism. We have a teaching, and we know about the Buddhahood, and we know someone has done it. But in that era, there is no example for that. Who has done it? The people would ask, who has done it? Are you sure that you can reach there? Give me an example who has reached the omniscience. There were people who claimed to be omniscient of that era, and they were not. Are you sure are you going to reach that by, how do you make sure that this donation is going to help you? Isn't there any other way? So with all these counter arguments, concepts, views, Bodhisattva is fully determined about his own resolution, own idea, and own goal, and he walks on this path. It's not just walking on the path, he's making the utmost sacrifices a human could ever make. So this this incident of the Siviraja Charya, for me, it's very insightful. It gives a huge insight about the difficulty of the Bodhisattva practice, because Bodhisattvas mostly practice in eras where there is no Buddha. So this shows how great a person he is.
Baik, jadi jika kita menelaah sedikit, kita bayangkan kejadian ini ketika Bodhisatta mengumumkan, saya akan memberikan seluruh mata saya di hadapan semua rakyat, di hadapan para menteri, para jenderal, para orang-orang yang ada di kerajaannya. Kita mendengar peristiwa ini dari kacamata keyakinan sadar kita sebagai umat Buddha. Kemudian kita bisa bilang bahwa, oh ya, ini adalah tindakan yang amat baik, tindakan yang luhur, kita memberi hormat, sadu, 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 dan sebagainya, gitu ya. Karena kita sudah mendapatkan pengajaran Dhamma sebelumnya. Kita melihat dari lensa keyakinan agama Buddha di sini. Tapi coba kalau kita taruh posisi kita di sisi yang lain. Di sisi kita bukan umat Buddha, tidak pernah mendengar Dhamma, gitu ya. Bahkan lebih ekstrim lagi, kondisi di zaman itu ya memang tidak ada pengajaran tentang kebudahan, tidak ada ajaran Dhamma seperti yang kita kenal sekarang, tidak kenal konsep Buddha itu seperti apa, itu tidak ada yang tahu, gitu kan. Nah, kemudian kita tentu mendengar ada seorang raja, lalu kemudian mau memberikan matanya dua-duanya untuk mencapai kemahatauan, gitu ya, membuang kerajaannya, membuat kerajaannya, kemudian harus cari raja baru, belum tentu raja baru bagus, semuanya kondisinya jadi, ya bisa dibilang jadi tidak pasti semuanya. Tentunya kalau kita ambil dari kacamata awam ini, kita mungkin bertanya-tanya tentang tindakan seorang raja memberikan kedua belah matanya ini apakah suatu tindakan yang bijaksana atau tidak di sini, gitu. Nah, dalam hal ini kita juga tahu bahwa Bodhisatta dalam hal ini juga tidak punya konsep yang clear tentang apa yang harus beliau lakukan sebetulnya. untuk mencapai kemudahan itu harus bagaimana jalannya, rutenya, praktek apa yang dilakukan pada waktu itu belum, bagi beliau sendiri nggak clear karena nggak ada spiritual lain yang menunjukkan jalannya. Beliau hanya masih seorang putujana pada saat itu, didorong oleh parami lampaunya, didorong oleh kehidupan lampaunya, di mana kemudian didorong beliau oleh satu kesadaran bahwa dunia ini adalah penderitaan. Saya ingin mencapai pemahaman tentang fenomena secara utuh melalui sabanyuta, kemahatauan. Saya ingin keluar dari samsara dan kemudian saya ingin bisa mengajarkan pada makhluk-makhluk lain agar juga bisa keluar dari samsara. Seperti itu. Dan untuk itulah maka saya perlu meningkatkan kapasitas saya, menaikkan spiritual saya. Nah, salah satunya adalah dengan eh, memberikan tidak hanya benda-benda yang tidak bernyawa, tetapi juga memberikan anggota tubuh saya. Nah, seperti itu. Tetapi bagi kebanyakan orang, kalau di era tidak ada Buddha, tidak ada Dhamma, maka ini jadi bukan suatu, akan dipandang bukan sebagai satu kebijaksanaan, tetapi suatu kebodohan bisa dibilang gitu kan ya, suatu kebodohan. Eh, Ini menunjukkan betapa sulitnya praktek bodhisatta di era tidak ada Dhamma, ya, tidak ada Dhamma. Bodhisatta ini sendirian melawan arus, ya. Tidak ada yang paham apa yang Anda lakukan, nggak ada yang paham. Apa yang dia lakukan, nggak ada yang paham. Bahkan dia sendiri tidak punya clear idea ini mau ngapain seperti itu. Nah, di tengah tekan di posisi seperti ini, sendirian seperti ini tentu amat mudah bagi seseorang untuk kemudian meragukan keyakinannya dan kemudian ikut aja mayoritas ya, suara mayoritas lebih gampang gitu ya. Nah, ini eh, suatu hal yang mudah dilakukan, tetapi bodhisatta kan tidak seperti itu ya, tidak seperti itu. Maka bagi Bante tadi dikatakan bahwa justru disinilah Bante merasa inilah pengorbanan terbesar yang bisa dilakukan seseorang untuk mengejar pengembangan spiritualnya. Ketika Anda itu sendirian dan semua orang melawan Anda, against you gitu ya. Semua orang tidak paham apa yang Anda lakukan gitu. Semua orang tidak ragu dengan apa yang Anda lakukan. Apakah Anda harus betul-betul melakukan se ekstrim ini, sejauh ini memberikan organ tubuh dan kemudian menjadi cacat? Ini di luar logik kebanyakan orang gitu ya. Kalau memberikan harta benda, memberikan uang, memberikan macam-macam itu kita bisa paham. Oh, oke, orang ini baik gitu ya. Luar biasa dermawan, memberikan uang, memberikan harta benda, tapi memberikan anggota tubuh sampai buta dan kemudian menjadi cacat. Apakah ini bijaksana atau tidak bijaksana? Nah, ini menjadi sulit gitu ya. Seperti itu. Maka Bante bilang inilah pengorbanan terbesar yang bisa dilakukan seseorang, dalam hal ini bodhisatta, yang dilakukan oleh bodhisatta. Eh, Bahwa amat sulit sekali mempraktekkan Dhamma di era di mana tidak ada Buddha Dhamma.
So then, now coming back to the story. So Bodhisatta, when others were pleading not for him not to offer, he just ignored them and said to the physician, please my son, help me to make this donation. So he said, don't be afraid, I'm making a royal order, it's a decree, so you have to help me to offer my eyes. Then the Sivaka thought, it's not nice for me to remove the Bodhisatta's eyes with a weapon or any kind of weapon, instrument. I would try to bring it out with using medicine. So he applied a certain medicine to a blue lotus and covered it with his eye. Covered his eye with it, the right eye. Then it caused him severe pain, and the eye turned. It was very painful, and Bodhisatta somehow bared the pain. Then he applied again. At that time it came out, not completely, but popped out from the eye bracket. So his very pain was more severe. Then he applied another for the third time, and it completely came out, and it was hanging with the sinews. So at that time, the wives, ministers, they fell down in front of his knees, because it could be put back again. It could have been put back again. Still there is a chance that it could be replaced. Then they said, please don't offer this. Please don't offer. Then see, Bodhisattva, then his entire cloth was covered with blood. Then Bodhisattva said to Sivaka, please my son, help me. Quickly remove it and keep it on my hand. I want to donate this eye. Then he cut the sinews with a sharp knife, holding the eye with the left hand, and cut it with the right hand using a sharp knife, and placed it on the Bodhisattva. So he saw it, he looked at it with his left eye, and he was very happy. He overcame the pain with the joy that he is going to make this great donation that he had never made before in his life. And he called the Brahmin and said, okay, I'm offering this eye. This eye and this physical eye, with this physical eye, may I obtain the Samanta Chakku. Offering this Mansa Chakku, may I obtain the Samanta Chakku, the omniscience with which I will be able to see everything. So I desire the omniscience 100,000 times over this physical eye. So that's why I am able to donate this eye. So please apply this, and may this donation be a help for my omniscience. So then he donated. So he was looking all this with his left eye. Then it was a sakka, it was not an ordinary being. So he put it into his eye bracket, and with his divine powers, otherwise it would need some time to fix, obviously, and there should be some medical ways to fix such an eye, because even today you can donate certain parts of not the entire eye as far as I know, certain parts of the eyes, and help others to see the world. I know actually a monk who has done it, who has donated one of his eyes. One of his eyes are blind, a monk whom I know, and someone else is now looking the world with that eye, and it's something illegal. He did it in a certain country, and I know he's living with one eye at the moment. And so he made, then it was functioning with his divine powers. And Bodhisattva looked all this with his left eye, and he was elated, that thinking my donation was successful and it was fruitful. And he became so happy, and he asked Sivaka to remove the left eye even, and he donated it as well. So that was the donation he made, the Bodhisattva's donation of eyes. We hear that these stories in roughly that he had donated eyes more than the stars in the sky. But when you visualize this incident, and if you put yourself in the shoes of the Bodhisattva, what kind of a sacrifice that is. It's remarkable, and it's beyond our apprehension. So that's why he became the Buddha, and he was able to penetrate the Four Noble Truths by himself and teach us in a very accurate and successful way.
Kita kembali ke cerita Bodhisatta tadi, ketika semua orang memohon untuk beliau menghentikan atau membatalkan mengorban atau memberikan kedua belah matanya, sang Raja Bodhisatta ini kemudian memerintahkan kepada tabib istana, Siwaka ya. Siwaka, jangan takut. Ini adalah perintah kerajaan, perintah resmi raja. Tolong, saya ingin mendanakan mata saya kepada Brahmana itu, tolong bantu saya untuk mencopot mata saya. Maka pada saat itu tabib Siwaka merasa bahwa tidak sopan atau tidak layak untuk mencongkil mata seorang raja dengan menggunakan senjata atau mungkin pisau atau apa. Maka Siwaka kemudian memutuskan menggunakan obat, ya, tadi katakan obat dari lotus biru, di mana obat ini kemudian ditempelkan di mata Bodhisatta, dan kemudian akhirnya biji mata ini mencelat keluar gitu ya, copot keluar dari rongga matanya ya. Jadi ditetes, dipakaikan 3 kali sampai akhirnya kemudian bola mata itu copot dari rongganya dan kemudian bergelantungan terikat oleh otot mata aja gitu ya, udah bergantungan seperti itu. Dan saat itu mata kirinya ya, pada mata kiri dari Bodhisatta dan kemudian mata kanannya masih ada. Bodhisatta melihat kondisi ini, bola mata sudah copot seperti itu, dan kemudian Bodhisatta memerintahkan pada Siwaka, tolong potong, copotkan mata saya secara yang kiri secara total, taruh di tangan saya karena saya ingin mendanakan bola mata ini kepada Brahmana itu. Maka kemudian tabib istana menggunakan pisau memotong otot mata tersebut dan kemudian menaruh di tangan Bodhisatta. Dan kemudian Bodhisatta dengan tangannya sendiri mendanakan bola mata kirinya kepada Brahmana buta tadi. Lalu Bodhisatta di sini kemudian rasa sakitnya semua, rasa perihnya itu semua terlupakan, hilang, tertutupi oleh kebahagiaan bahwa beliau bisa mendanakan, berdana gitu. Pada saat beliau menyerahkan dana tersebut, mata tersebut dengan kedua tangannya sendiri, beliau beraditana bahwa semoga dengan mendanakan mata fisik ini, suatu saat kelak saya bisa memperoleh samanti, samanta caku, yaitu mata kemahatauan ya, mata kebijaksanaan, mata kemahatauan gitu, seperti itu.
So
Eh,
then, yeah.
ya, oke. Eh, itu adalah mata kirinya dan kemudian Bodhisatta juga kemudian meminta, masih bajunya bercucuran darah, kena darah semua. Bodhisattva minta pada tabib istana untuk mata kanannya juga copotin, gitu seperti itu dicopotin. Eh, Nah, karena Brahmana ini adalah penyamaran dari Saka, maka mata yang diterima tadi kemudian langsung ditaruh di rongga matanya dan kemudian langsung bisa berfungsi normal gitu ya. Nah, Bodhisatta melihat ini, wah tambah lebih happy lagi ya, bergembira lagi gitu. Ayo cepat, tabib kerajaan, ini satu lagi harus cepat segera dikeluarkan juga dan dikasih kepada Brahmana tersebut. Nah, ini adalah mentalitas dari Bodhisatta pada saat itu ya. Nah, jika Bapak Ibu menaruh menaruh diri Bapak Ibu di posisinya Bodhisatta, membayangkan pengorbanan seperti ini, apakah Bapak Ibu bisa memiliki sikap batin yang sama, bisa bertahan, memiliki kebahagiaan yang sama? Ya, ini suatu pertanyaan yang menarik gitu ya. Nah, itulah sebabnya maka Bodhisatta melakukan pengorbanan besar ini, hasilnya juga besar. Beliau menjadi seorang Buddha kelak dan kemudian bisa mengajarkan damanya dan bahkan sampai hari ini kita masih belajar dari beliau.
Then what happened was Bodhisatta stayed in the palace for a few days till because there was a wound in his eyes, brackets, and they were filled with some flesh. And then he was entirely blind, and he gave up the kingdom to his ministers, and he said, I want to stay away from the palace because I cannot rule the country anymore. And he made them, asked them to build a hut near a pond and stayed there. And he asked for an attendant actually to give him water daily, and also asked them to tie a rope from his kuti to the place of defecating and urinating. Only that's what he asked, and they arranged it. And he was taken to the monastic hermitage, and he sat on a rock and started to contemplate his dana. He was very elated about his dana. At that time, he felt so happy. And then it was felt by the Sakka again. Then the Sakka thought, I want to help him back. I want to replace his eyes. And he came to the Bodhisatta and said, I am the Sakka and I want you to ask for a boon. So vara. So ask for something. I'll try to give it to you back. Then Bodhisatta said, I'm wishing to die soon because this life is not useful for me to me anymore. He never regretted about donating, but he didn't like to live as a blind person. Obviously, that is not something comfortable, right? So then the Sakka asked, are you willing for death because you are fed up with the life or because of your blindness? And the Bodhisattva says, it's because of the blindness. I'm not a person who hates my life. I don't like to live blind. That's why I'm waiting for the death. Then the Sakka said, if you have done a lot of great merits, and I would like to help you to gain your eyes back, because donating eyes, making such donation are not only for the following lives, they can have effects in the present life as well. Then the Bodhisattva said, if you want to help me to gain my eyes, help me to gain it with my own dana or merits of my present life. Then the Bodhisattva said, so then make two determinations. Make two determinations about your donations. So then the Bodhisattva made two determinations. First one was, whoever had approached me in my entire life, they all were very dear to me. Like I never felt upset about them because they ask. Because when someone asks something from someone, the one who is asked sometimes feel a little bit uncomfortable. Why are you asking for such and such things? So I never felt so. I felt so happy and loving kindness towards the beggars. I never felt angry with the beggars. So with this merit, and also satisfied their desires. So with this merit, may I get an eye. May an eye appears to me. And eye appeared, it says. Then he made another determination. While donating my both eyes, before, while and after, I never had any regret or sadness about it. I was fully happy and dedicated about my donation. So with this truth, due to this truth, may an eye appears in me. So he made determinations, and they were called Satchakiriyas. By these truths, may eyes appears to me. So the second eye also appeared. The commentators say that was not a flesh eye, that was not a divine eye, that was a very special eye, arose due to his Satchakiriya, due to his determination, based on his truthfulness. So then it says, that story says that he ruled the country afterwards. But we have to keep in mind, so this is a very special story. In almost all the other lives, Bodhisattva didn't get the eyes back. They were not a happy ending story like the Sivirajacharya. So in most of the lives, he died as a blind person. So after donating the eyes, if he had donated his limbs, he dies without arms, without legs, without nose, without ears, without flesh. So sometimes he ended his life, completed his life as a slave. So Bodhisattva's Charya shows that this story illustrates us that for us it's a very nice heroic story. For him, in most of the stories, it ended with agony. Because even in the Sivirajacharya, he wished for the death. So this is very, very close to the enlightenment. This incident has happened not very far from his final birth. So even a Bodhisattva who has reached such maturity in Bodhisattvahood, still after donating the eyes, he didn't like the blindness. No one likes blindness, that's obvious. So it shows that, but he has donated his eyes more than the stars that we see in the outside, when you go outside it at night. That's how the book says. So it shows that in most of his lives, he was encountering the suffering, because after you have donated your eyes, no one is willing to help you yet even. Because if someone loses the eye due to an accident, yes, others will feel pity and compassionate and would help us. But if I have lost my eyes because of my own wish and I have donated them, the impression would be different. People will say, it's your decision. It's you who decided to donate. So then you have to bear the pain and you have to bear all the difficulties afterwards. And it's not very nice for the Bodhisattva to ask for help, because it's you who took the decision. And he's not such a person who would beg for help. As a king, he said, please give me, if you can, please give me attendant and all this, because he was still the king and he could surely ask for it. But, and ministers could easily do it. But in other occasions, if he had donated as a normal human being, he cannot ask his wife to stay. He cannot ask his children to support him. It's not fair for him to ask his neighbors or relatives to support him. And Bodhisattva, I feel, is such a character that would not beg or plead for such help, because before he's a very matured and responsible person. So if he's donating his eyes, he has to take the entire responsibility of the consequences, its outcome. So if he had donated that much of eyes in his sansaric lives, so all those lives ended him being blind. If he had donated at a young age, he had to live for 50, 60 years. If it was if the lifespans were too long, as the doctrine states, he would have stayed for hundreds of thousands of years being blind. And that's the eye. I think it's one of the most difficult body parts to donate. Even without a hand, you can still sustain if you see the things, if you are able to see the things. But still, living without a hand, without any limbs, that's not an easy life. If an eye and one hand and a leg is gone, we can imagine how difficult it would be for the person to sustain. And in some lives, maybe the regret may also arise, because he's an ordinary being. Ordinary means a Putujana being, so he has to overcome those as well. And that's why, that another point to highlight, that's why he had a very special retinue. In order to be a Bodhisattva's close companions, close members of his life, they also need to make a huge sacrifice. The parents have to bear when the son is making such sacrifice. If the parents are alive, no parent would like his son to donate a body part and be a disabled person afterwards. But if one is willing to be a father and mother of a Bodhisattva, they have to bear this pain. No son would like his father to be a disabled person. And which son would take care of a father who donated his limbs? So it has to be a special son. And no wife would stay with him, because he is donating against their will. Then they ask not to do that, he is doing it. And he's such a stubborn, in terms of worldly form, he's a stubborn, determined person. And he is determined to a goal that no one else knows, no one else believes. It's only him believing strongly. Maybe others would follow him, thinking that his greatness. But others doesn't have a strong belief as the Bodhisattva does. So it has to be a special wife. And not many women would follow him, because imagine who would like to support the husband when he has donated his body parts, while she is telling not to do that, the children and the retinue are telling not to do that. When you do so, who is going to support? No one would feel attracted. So only a person who has come with him for a long period and who also has a same kind of a mindset can stay with him. So this story also illustrates that it's not easy to stay with the Bodhisattva. It's okay, we feel very happy reading his story. But imagine if this person was your husband, if this person was your son, if this person was your brother, sister, or relative. It won't be very easy, because now sometimes he donated the kingdom to another righteous person who could rule the country. And how would the son would have felt? Because inheritedly, son inherited it. That's his royal inheritance. He deserves it according to the rule, according to the law. But suddenly you see a father who donates the kingdom to someone else and leaves the kingdom while the son was a child. And it happened in some lives. So that I was pleading, go to the homeless life after my son has grown up, so he can rule the country, then you go. So please wait till he grows up. No, Bodhisattva just went away. So when you read the stories of the Bodhisattva and apply it and imagine and put yourself in the position of the close members of his family, I would rather say that most of the people would say no for such a life. I know some would be able to embrace it and accept that. I know there can be some people, but the majority of the people, even the ones who are willing to attain arahantship, I don't think many would make such sacrifice. That's why when he divided the titles, when he said, this much you have to practice to be a Buddha, Bodhisattva, Pacceka Buddha, two chief disciples, the great disciples, and he allocated 4 special positions: mother, father, son, and Upattaka. Upattaka means his close attendant. He didn't mention about the wife of the Bodhisattva, and according to my understanding, she played the most significant role in his entire life, more than any other member in the Buddha's retinue. So this story, it is a very great story of donating the eyes, and ones who are not willing to be a Buddha are not necessary to donate such limbs, but this shows that a great story of our teacher, how he fulfilled this Dana Parami, and this would also encourage us, if he could donate such body parts, that we should be able to donate the external stuff as much as possible and fulfill our Parami, because why did he endure such suffering? It's for us, for our liberation, and it's our duty, being the disciples, to walk on this path and be more diligent, and to make sure our Bodhisattva's efforts were not in vain. So even for we will be getting all the benefits of the doctrine that he introduced to the world, and that he would be so happy. If he was alive, he would be the happiest person to know that my disciples are following the doctrine diligently, so my effort was not in vain, because his effort was to liberate beings as much as possible. So that would be an encouragement for us. So that would be the story, and yes, you can translate. It was a long explanation anyway.
Jadi setelah Bodhisatta ini memberikan kedua belah matanya, beliau kemudian tinggal di istana selama beberapa hari dalam kondisi buta, dan kemudian beliau mengatakan kepada menterinya bahwa saya sudah tidak bisa lagi memerintah sekarang dalam kondisi buta seperti ini. Saya akan keluar dari istana, ya. Saya ingin tolong buat segubuk kecil di pinggir danau di sana. Saya akan tinggal di sana. Buat jalur tali, ya, tali yang menuju toilet, supaya karena dalam keadaan buta bisa jalan sambil menyusuri tali kalau beliau ingin buang hajat dan sebagainya. Maka beliau pindahlah ke gubuk kecil di samping danau tadi, seperti itu, dalam kondisi seperti itu. Dan di sana beliau duduk di atas sebuah batu, mengkontemplasikan dana yang sudah beliau lakukan, ya, dan beliau sangat berbahagia. Saya sudah akhirnya bisa melakukan dana yang luar biasa ini, katanya. Nah, ketika beliau sedang berkontemplasi seperti itu, Saka merasakan ini, ya, mengetahui ini, dan kemudian turun ke dunia, ya. Dunia lalu mengatakan, turun, saya Saka, saya bisa memberikan Anda mata jika Anda meminta, katanya. Asal Anda memohon, saya akan bisa memberikan mata untuk Anda. Tetapi kemudian Bodhisatta mengatakan, enggak, saya tidak mau mata, kata Bodhisatta, saya sudah memberikan mata saya, tetapi saya ingin kematian, katanya. Saya ingin mati. Lalu Saka bertanya, Anda ingin mati karena Anda ini kecewa dengan hidup ini, atau karena Anda tidak suka dengan kebutaan Anda? Lalu Bodhisatta menjawab, karena saya tidak suka dengan kebutaan ini, katanya. Oh, Kak, saya bisa membantu kamu kalau untuk itu, saya bisa memberikan mata untuk Anda, kata. Tapi Bodhisattva bilang, jika itu adalah pemberian, maka saya tidak mau. Tetapi jika itu adalah buah daripada kebajikan-kebajikan yang telah saya lakukan, saya bersedia jika memang bisa menghasilkan mata baru. Lalu Saka mengajarkan kepada Bodhisatta, Anda buatlah 2 determinasi kalau begitu, kata. Maka Bodhisatta melakukan 2 determinasi, ya, melakukan 2 aditana. Yang pertama adalah beliau berdeterminasi, ketika sepanjang kehidupan saya, siapapun yang datang kepada saya dan meminta pertolongan, Saya selalu menolong mereka karena saya mengasihi mereka. Saya sangat bahagia untuk bisa membantu siapapun yang dalam kebutuhan dan memohon minta bantuan kepada saya. Nah, atas dasar determinasi ini, atas dasar ucapan kejujuran yang jujur ini, eh, sebuah bola mata kemudian muncul. Ya, sebuah bola mata kemudian muncul. Lalu determinasi yang kedua, ketika saya mendanakan kedua belah mata saya tidak merasakan penyesalan atau sedih sedikit pun kehilangan kedua belah mata saya, tetapi justru saya merasa bahagia sekali bisa melakukan dana tersebut. Nah, atas kekuatan determinasi yang kedua ini, sebuah bola mata pun kembali muncul. Nah, menurut kitab komentar, bola mata yang muncul ini bukan bola mata fisik, tapi juga bukan bola mata dewa, tetapi sebuah bola mata khusus yang muncul daripada sacakirya, jadi ucapan kejujuran, ucapan kebenaran, ya istilahnya seperti itu. Nah, tetapi ini satu cerita, contoh cerita yang berakhir dengan happy end ya. Banyak sekali kisah bodhisatta memberikan anggota tubuhnya yang tidak berakhir dengan happy end, gitu ya. Di mana ya, kalau beliau memberikan mata ya berakhir tetap buta, memberikan anggota tubuh, kaki misalnya tetap lumpuh, tangan ya tetap cacat seperti itu ya. Menjadi budak ya jadi budak, jadi berakhir dengan tragis ya, dengan agony, dengan tragis. Eh, Kebanyakan cerita seperti itu ya. Dan ini satu hal yang wajar ya, satu hal yang wajar. Coba bayangkan Anda di posisi keluarga daripada bodhisatta di sini. Jika Anda orang ini kehilangan katakanlah matanya karena kecelakaan atau apa, Anda mungkin merasa kasihan. Anda akan merawat orang ini gitu ya. Tetapi ini orang yang kehilangan kedua matanya atas keputusannya sendiri mendanakan matanya, kedua belah matanya dan menjadi buta. Sudah dikasih tahu jangan. Orang sudah memohon jangan, kasih tahu jangan, tetapi orang ini tetap kekeh, teguh, kemudian mendanakan matanya. Bayangkan jika Anda adalah katakanlah istrinya, gitu ya. Anda jadi istrinya, lalu suami Anda yang tadinya raja kemudian sekarang jadi buta dan kemudian akhirnya tidak lagi bisa memerintah, harus keluar dari istana, kehilangan kerajaan dan sebagainya. Apakah ini eh, tidak menjadi suatu apa ya, menjadi suatu perasaan yang berat buat Anda gitu kalau Anda jadi istrinya. Atau jika Anda menjadi anaknya gitu, apakah Anda akan merawat dengan kasih sayang seorang ayah yang tanda kutip bagi kebanyakan orang akan dibilang dengan karena kebodohannya sendiri mengorbankan matanya jadi buta, kehilangan kerajaan yang harusnya menjadi hak Anda nantinya eh, sebagai pewaris, kemudian sekarang semua lenyap dalam satu malam karena ayah Anda memberikan matanya. Sudah dikasih tahu jangan, tetapi beliau keras kepala terus melakukannya. Untuk suatu alasan yang nggak ada seorang pun yang bisa paham, gitu ya. Jadi eh, inilah situasi yang kalau Anda coba telaah kisah-kisah ini memang kelihatannya seperti heroik gitu ya, kelihatannya seperti heroik. Wah, agung sekali, luar biasa sekali karena kita lihat dari kacamata kisah. Tetapi kalau kita bayangkan ini adalah realitas dan kita ada di sana, terlibat di sana sebagai orang terdekatnya, ini akan menjadi momen yang sangat sulit sekali gitu. Momen yang sangat menyakitkan bagi orang tua melihat anaknya kemudian jadi buta karena keputusannya sendiri memberikan matanya, anak yang harus merawat orang tuanya sampai meninggal nanti dalam keadaan buta, kehilangan kerajaan karena keputusan ayahnya yang memberikan matanya seperti itu. Apakah seorang istri tidak akan meminta cerai dari suami yang seperti ini, gitu kan? Apakah akan terus mendampingi suaminya? Oh, suamiku yang baik, dirawat sampai tua, sampai mati. Atau si istri akan merasa ini udah dikasih tahu jangan, masih tetap ngotot. Dan apakah si istri akan masih mau bersama suami yang seperti ini? Nah, ini seperti itu. Maka ketika Yang Mulia Buddha di kemudian hari menjabarkan tentang parami ini, ada 4 kelompok yang sangat dekat dengan bodhisatta yang juga akan mengalami rasa sakit dalam praktek bodhisattvanya. Itu seorang ibu, seorang ayah, seorang anak, dan sanak saudara. Tapi menurut Bante, walaupun istri itu tidak disebutkan di sini, istri juga memainkan peran yang amat penting ya di sini gitu. Jadi peran yang sangat penting dalam mendampingi seorang bodhisatta. Nah, dari kisah ini mudah-mudahan kita bisa belajar bahwa begitu beratnya pengorbanan yang dilakukan seorang bodhisatta. Tetapi kita harus ambil hikmahnya jika seorang bodhisatta mampu memberikan pengorbanan begitu besar, memberikan organ tubuhnya di saat beliau masih hidup seperti itu, maka kita tentunya harus juga bisa semangat meningkatkan spiritual, setidaknya mampu untuk memiliki semangat dalam bisa melepas benda-benda kepemilikan untuk memenuhi parami kita. Karena jika kita pikir lagi, beliau melakukan pengorbanan yang begitu besar semata-mata agar beliau bisa menemukan jalan dan mengajarkan cara untuk keluar samsara bagi kita. Dan saat ini kita sudah mendengar dhamma tersebut, mempelajarinya. Jangan sampai kita kemudian menyia-nyiakan pengorbanan besar yang telah dilakukan oleh beliau. Jika beliau saat ini ada dan melihat kita yang telah mempelajari dhamma beliau, mempraktikkannya dengan sungguh-sungguh, dengan semangat, tidak lalai, maka beliau tentu akan sangat bahagia dan bangga bahwa pengorbanan yang begitu besar yang dilakukan oleh beliau tidak sia-sia, tetapi bisa dipraktekkan dan membawa kebaikan bagi kehidupan kita saat ini.
Yeah. So that would be the talk for today, and I hope you got some inspirations to practice your Dana Parami with our Bodhisattvas, one of great sacrifices which he made in order to attain the Buddha. So I wish you all the best, and may you be able to practice Dana as better than before.
Jadi demikianlah kisah kita dalam pertemuan ini. Semoga bisa Bante berharap semoga ini bisa menginspirasi kita semua dan kita bisa mempraktekkan dana dengan lebih semangat dan lebih baik lagi daripada hari sebelumnya. Terima kasih.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Vandami Bante, my name is Piriani and I will guide the Q&A session. Sahabat Dhamma, silahkan bertanya langsung via Zoom dengan klik raise hand atau melalui kolom chat. Tim share slide boleh menayangkan pertanyaan pertama. From No Name, Vandami Bante, I often feel the desire to give is greater than the ability to analyze the recipient's needs. Often, after I give something, in reality, it turns out that the recipient doesn't use it, even though the recipient initially stated he needed. Please advise on how to analyze common objects that deserve to be given. Thank you, Bante. Vandami Bante, seringkali saya merasa keinginan untuk memberi lebih besar daripada kemampuan untuk menganalisa kebutuhan penerima. Seringkali setelah saya memberikan sesuatu, pada kenyataannya ternyata si penerima tidak menggunakannya. Meskipun pada awalnya si penerima menyatakan dia membutuhkan hal tersebut. Mohon sarannya, bagaimana cara menganalisa objek umum yang pantas diberi?
Yeah, it's an important question to be classified because when you look into the Bodhisattva's character, it is said that donor. They said that he normally offers things to ones who are actually in need of such things, especially when it comes to offering the limbs, body parts. He makes sure that those are not, those sacrifices doesn't go in vain. Because therefore, if someone is asking out of foolishness or madness, he doesn't understand the value of a body part, or if he, maybe sometimes they may ask due to hunger, okay, then there is a reason to offer them. So I was talking about the Bodhisattva sacrifice. You can apply it into our lives as afterwards. So may he make sure that someone actually needs actually in need of that before they offer. So if someone is fully convinced that he is not actually in need of such thing, yes, it's up to the person not to offer. But he still, now sometimes when he's offering money and all these stuff to the poor beggars, he was not always analyzing, like when he opened the doors of his houses and said anyone could take whatever they want. It's not possible to analyze whether the people are actually in need of the things or not. Right? He's just giving the things. In some occasions, he opened the doors of his house and said, anyone who is in need of anything, please come and take. So at that time, you cannot analyze whether the people who are coming and collecting the stuffs from your house are actually in need of them, or whether he'll use them or not. So after you make a donation, I rather would say not to check whether the person is using it or not. Because sometimes he may give it back to someone else, or he may use it, or he may keep it for some to be used at a later stage. Yeah, anything is possible. So if we have donated, that's donated. We call it in Pali, dinnang sudinnang. What was given is nicely given. After that, it doesn't belong to us. And it's not our duty to check whether the person is using it or not. But if you have the perception that the person has asked for many things and he is actually not in use of that, maybe he is misusing our generosity, then you can take a decision. Sometimes even in order to fulfill your paramis, you would give it to him. That's still okay. It's still okay. But rather you can give it to someone who is actually in need of it, rather than giving it to someone who is not going to use it. Yes, you are in full capacity, autonomy to decide whether you give it or not. There's no harm in it. Giving dana is a good thing, and deciding not to give when you don't want, that's up to the person. There's no fault in that. So, but if someone is restraining from giving and is not interested in giving at all, then it's according to the literature, it's not a good quality. So I would say first of all, it's better not to analyze check whether the person is using the stuff or not. Otherwise it's going to affect your kusala as well, if you get the regret or if you feel upset about the recipient. And then if you feel like the person is misusing your generosity and keeps on asking because he doesn't know the value of the things that he's getting, or if he doesn't know, if he really wants to put you in trouble by offering, and he's for whatever invalid reason, yes, then you have the full authority or autonomy to not to give. And in terms of Dhamma, there's no harm in it. So in terms of Bodhisattva sacrifice, it is mentioned, especially when he's donating the body parts, he would donate it to someone who is actually in need of it. He doesn't let the body part go waste, because losing a body part is something very imperative, and you cannot get rid of the effect of losing a body part. So he makes sure that the body part is surely given to someone who is actually in need of. So you can apply this into your life as well.
Baik, secara singkat, Bante mengatakan bahwa ya ini kita bisa belajar dari pengalaman daripada kisah-kisah Bodhisatta. Secara singkat bahwa yang pertama adalah seorang Bodhisatta itu sebelum memberikan, beliau selalu memastikan bahwa orang tersebut memang membutuhkan. Ya, beliau terutama misalnya dalam pembelian anggota tubuh tadi, beliau memastikan bahwa ya pemberian ini tidak akan sia-sia ya. Orangnya tidak hanya meminta karena iseng karena kebodohan atau dalam keadaan kurang waras ya, terganggu kejiwaannya gitu ya. Tetapi memang ini akan membawa manfaat ya, membawa ke memenuhi kebutuhan orang tersebut. Nah, gimana kalau kemudian kita lihat orang itu kemudian mensalahgunakan kedermawanan kita ya. Di sini tadi Bante bilang bahwa ya Anda punya otonomi penuh di sini gitu ya, untuk memutuskan apakah Anda akan tetap memberikannya atau kemudian Anda mengalihkan untuk kepada orang lain yang memang membutuhkan daripada dana Anda tersebut. Demikian mungkin secara singkat ya.
Okay, Anumodami Bante for the answer. So the next question, pertanyaan lanjutan, pertanyaan selanjutnya boleh tolong ditayangkan. From Brother John Marley, Wandami Bhante regarding Bodhisattva who donates a body part. If Bodhisattva give vital organ such as heart, does the body will also automatically shut down? And if other part is not donated yet, will it die along with the body? Thank you, Bhante. Brother Radiansyah, boleh bantu translate?
Pandami Bante terkait dengan ketika bodhisattva mendonasikan anggota tubuhnya, jika beliau memberikan organ vitalnya seperti misalnya jantung, apakah tubuhnya kemudian akan otomatis juga mati jika tidak ada anggota tubuh lain yang juga didonasikan? Jika anggota badan lainnya tidak didonasikan, apakah juga akan mati bersamaan dengan ketika jantungnya dicabut seperti itu? Terima kasih, Bante.
Yeah, according to the literature, there are two body parts that when the Bodhisattva donates, that he will die eventually. That is, donate in the head and also donate in the heart. So no one can live without a head and no one can live without a heart. So that donations automatically eventually makes him to die. There's no doubt about it. And there's another donation called donating the half of the body. I don't know what was the purpose of that, but Sivi Raja determines if someone asks for half of my body, I would still donate it. Maybe for food or something, I don't know. So even that would cause him death for sure, right? If it it determines from where it was cut. So yes, so eventually he will die. There's no doubt about that. So I think he will die even before, most of the cases, even before he donates it. So when he decides, yes, you can take my heart, or if he removes it, obviously when he removes it, he will not be able to live anymore. Which is a very, very, very terrifying, dreadful donation. And it says that he has done it. And in Vesantara Jataka, at the age of 8, he determined, if someone needs my heart, may he come and I will donate it. And even the earth shook when he made such a resolution about each of his body part. And it's it shows that it's a remarkable story, a remarkable journey, and that's why most of the beings, even when they start to learn about Bodhisattva, even the ones who had the desire to be a Buddha before, when they read the story of the Bodhisattva, they feel terrified and go away from the path. They feel, no, it's not for me. It's not for a person, for a person like me, because only 28 people were able to do this throughout the entire 4 Asankhya and 100,000 eons. That shows that this is not an easy feat, easy task. Yes, for the question, yes, he has to die. When he donates his head, when he donates his heart, in most of the cases, as I assume, when he donates half of his body, surely he has to die.
Baik, jadi secara singkat untuk pertanyaannya, ya secara natural, ya jika beliau mendanakan jantung atau kemudian mendanakan kepalanya, lalu ada satu lagi yang menurut Bante mendanakan separuh tubuhnya, nggak yakin apa ada cerita mau mendanakan separuh tubuh, tapi ya dalam teks dikatakan demikian. Bodhisattva bertekad jika ada yang mau meminta sebagai separuh dari tubuh saya, maka saya akan memberikan. Dalam 3 hal ini, ya Bodhisattva akan eh, berakhir kehidupannya di era itu. Seperti itu. Itu sebabnya pemberian ini adalah pemberian yang luar biasa berat, ya. Sepanjang beberapa asangkaya kalpa ini, maka hanya ada 28 orang, ya, 28 orang yang bisa meraih, yang kita tahu meraih sama Sambuddha. Seperti itu.
Okay, Nodami Bante, for the answer. The next question, Wandami Bante, in Sumanggala Wilasini, I'm sorry if I misspelled, but I'll try
Yeah,
to.
Sumangala Vilasini, yes.
Yeah, Sabanyu.
Did you be able to read the Pali?
I do not know. Bante,
I'll read it.
Okay.
Sabbanyuta bodhisattesu matu kuccing okkamantesu nikkamantesu sambujjantesu dhammacakka pavattantesu yamaka pāṭihāriyam karantesu devorohanam karantesu ayu sankhayam ussajjantesu parinibbāyantesu dasasahassa cakkavāla kampanādīni Pāṭihāriyāni dakkissamāti. Does this mean that Bodhisattva really attained Sabbanyu before his last birth? No. This, I don't know whether you can, is it capable of translating this? Shall I do it myself? Because it's Pali.
I think yes.
Yeah, okay. So it says that Sabbanyuta Bodhisattesu Matu Kuccing Okkamantesu. When the Sabbanyu Bodhisattvas. So, okay, now I understand your question. Sabbanyu Bodhisattva means not a Bodhisattva who has already attained the Sabbanyuta Jnana. It's a Bodhisattva who is willing to attain the Sabbanyuta Jnana. So, it's a grammatical point that one is asking. I think someone who is who has some knowledge in Pali should be asking this. So, Sabbanyuta Bodhisattva doesn't mean, Sabbanyuta is not just an adjective to Bodhisattva in terms of showing his attributes. Sabbanyuta Bodhisattva is a Bodhisattva who is practicing to attain Sabbanyuta Jnana, not a Bodhisattva who has already attained the Sabbanyuta. Bodhisattva is a Putujjana being. Always Bodhisattva is a Putujjana. Even the Buddha has, when he referred to himself as a Bodhisattva, he says, Anabhisambuddho, before I got the enlightenment. Bodhisattasya sato, when I was a Bodhisattva. So Bodhisattva is always a Putujjana. Bodhisattva is a Putujjana. One can argue like there is a short period in which the Bodhisattva was a Sotapanna, Sakadagami, and Anagami before he became the Arahant or became the Buddha. There was a slight period that he was a noble being. I don't know how to refer to him on that period. During that period, normally we say Bodhisattva is a person who is inclined towards the Bodhi Jnana. So, normally we say Bodhisattva is a Putujjana, but there is a stage that he becomes a stream enterer, once returner, and Anagami before he becomes the enlightened, fully enlightened Buddha. But personally, I feel like that should be also included in his noble stages. So, normally we refer Bodhisattva as a Putujjana. So, Bodhisattva is surely not a Sabbanyuta person. So, Sabbanyuta Bodhisattesu Matu Kuccing Okkamantesu. This means that when a Bodhisattva who is willing or practicing to be a Sabbanyu person, or who has already fulfilled the Pāramīs to become Sabbanyu person, in his last life, this is referring to the last life. So, Bodhisattva in his last life, in which he will surely attain the Sabbanyuta Jnana, Matu Kuccing Okkamantesu, the moment he is entering into the mother's womb, that is the moment of when the mother is conceived with the Bodhisattva, the Patisandhi moment, Nikkamantesu, the birth moment, Sambujjantesu, becoming the Buddha, enlightening moment, Dhammacakkam pavattantesu, when he is preaching the first sermon, Dhammacakka, Yamaka Pāṭihāriyam karantesu, while he is showing the twin miracles, Devorohanam karantesu, when he is descending to the earth, having preached Abhidhamma in the divine realm, Ayu sankarang osajjantesu, when he gives up his determination to live, the lifespan, and parinibbayantesu, when he is attaining the final liberation of parinibbana, when he is dying or he is attaining the parinibbana. Dasa sahasra chakravala kampanadini patiharyani dakkissamati. Some are making determinations. We will see the miracles that are happening in the 10,000 world cycles, such as earth shaking, and earthquakes and so forth. So this is a part that was taken from a quotation taken from part of the commentary. And the question is, does this mean the Bodhisattva already attained Sabbanyutta before last birth? No. This Sabbanyutta Bodhisattva means a Bodhisattva who has fulfilled his paramis to become a Sabbanyutta Buddha, and it's referring to his last life. It's not that the Bodhisattva has attained Sabbanyutta Jnana before, no.
Baik, untuk pertanyaan ini berdasarkan kutipan dari Sumanggala Wilasini, pertanyaannya apakah Bodhisatta dalam kutipan ini telah mencapai Sabanyu sebelum kelahiran kembali. Jadi kutipannya ini artinya adalah Sabanyutta Bodhisattvesu, ketika beliau dengan penuh perhatian masuk ke dalam rahim ibu, lalu ketika beliau membabarkan Dhammacakkabbawatana, membabarkan khotbah pemutaran roda Dhamma, ketika beliau melakukan keajaiban kembar, ya, ketika kemudian beliau turun dari alam dewa sehabis membabarkan Abhidhamma di surga, pada saat beliau melepaskan ayu sangkaranya, energi kehidupannya, dan pada saat beliau parinibbana, maka pada di momen-momen inilah kita akan melihat keajaiban, seperti misalnya gempa bumi dan lain-lain yang mengguncang 10.000 tata surya, ya, seperti itu. Nah, pertanyaannya karena di sini ada kata Sabanyu Bodhisattvesu yang masuk ke dalam rahim ibu, apakah di sini kita artikan sebelum beliau masuk ke dalam rahim ibu beliau sudah Sabanyuta gitu ya? Menurut Bante tidak ya. Sabanyu Bodhisattvesu di sini maksudnya adalah seorang bodhisatta yang dalam proses meraih Sabanyuta, meraih kemahatauan, atau di sini seorang bodhisatta yang sudah akan memenuhi parami untuk mencapai Sabanyu di kehidupan ini. Nah, seperti itu. Jadi bagi tadi penjelasan Bante, seorang bodhisatta itu selalu putujana ya, selalu putujana, seperti dikatakan dalam teks-teks kebanyakan bahwa di kehidupan lampau saya sebagai bodhisatta sebelum saya tercerahkan. Nah, seperti itu tadi istilahnya. Maka bodhisatta itu biasanya selalu putujana, dan memang secara tekstual ada satu short period yang dimana ada kemungkinan bodhisatta itu sudah Sotapanna, Sakadagami, atau Anagami gitu. Tetapi Bante sendiri kurang terlalu clear apa kita harus sebut bodhisatta yang dalam periode ini sebelum beliau mencapai kearahatan seperti itu.
Nami Bante for the answer. So that was the last question. There is no other question. Maybe we will close the Q&A session. Sahabat Dhamma, demikianlah akhir dari sesi tanya jawab. Sisa pertanyaan yang tidak terjawab akan kita tanyakan pada sesi lainnya. Terima kasih atas partisipasinya. Koekwari, silakan.
Sahabat Dhamma yang berbahagia, mari kita semua bersikap anjali. Dengan segala kerendahan hati, mari kita memohon maaf kepada Bante atas kesalahan yang pernah kita lakukan, baik melalui pikiran, ucapan, dan perbuatan, sebelum dan selama acara malam ini berlangsung. Bante, if we have done something wrong in the past and present, whether intentionally or unintentionally, through action of our bodies, speech, or mind, may we sincerely, humbly, and respectfully ask for Bante's forgiveness. Sadhu. Sahabat Dhamma, mari kita limpahkan jasa kebajikan yang telah kita lakukan dengan pelimpahan jasa yang akan dibimbing oleh Bhante Watagoda Maggavihārī. Mari kita semua bersikap anjali. Bhante, we would like Bhante to please guide us for the sharing merits and aspiration recitations.
Okay, with this merit of listening to Dhamma and preaching Dhamma, may all of us be able to attain the final liberation and the happiness in samsara. And also may this merit be shared with all our deceased relatives and also the deities. Ittavata ca amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idang me punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu idang me punyang nibbanassa paccayo hotu mama punya bhagang sabba sattanam bhajemi te sabbe me samang punya bhagang labantu. Sadhu 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 buddha sasanam chirantittatu buddha sasanam chirantittatu buddha sasanam chirantittatu. Sadhu sadhu sadhu.
Thank you for the explanation, Bhante. Anumodami. May our merits of keeping the precepts, listening to the Dhamma, and sharing merits be some supporting condition for our attainment of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Bhante, the Dhamma talk session today has ended. If Bhante would like to rest, Bhante is welcome to lead the meeting. Thank you, Bhante. Sahabat Dhamma, demikianlah Dhamma Talk pada malam hari ini. Terima kasih kepada sahabat Dhamma yang telah bergabung dalam Dhamma Talk malam ini. Dengan segala kerendahan hati, kami panitia menyampaikan permohonan maaf jika ada kesalahan atau kekurangan selama Dhamma Talk berlangsung. Sampai jumpa di Dhamma Talk berikutnya. Nantikan jadwal Dhamma Desana atau Dhamma Talk minggu depan melalui sosial media PATVDH Indonesia. Suki Hontu, Namo Buddhaya.